Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then. Leicester City are in midweek action then as they take on Bournemouth in the FA Cup 5th round. And what a tie this was going to be then as the Foxes travel to the Vitality on Tuesday night to test themselves against the Premier League side, which is good. It'd be interesting to see what the team knows, and that is ahead of the game itself. But yeah, we're going to go through team selection, score prediction. We're going to get to know the opposition. We're going to talk about the game itself, and we're going to talk about the last 5 results we played on. Foot in both camps is there as well, so get yourself prepared for that one. I'm going to be joined shortly by Morgan Scott from Back of the Net. AFC Bournemouth podcast. So he's going to be joining me to give me the insights on the Cherries. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. Then Joey, my friend, how are you, pal? What's your prediction for Maidstone versus Coventry? I tell you what, we'll go with Maidstone to nick it 1-0. Hi, Jack, how are you? I'm good, thank you, Carl. How are you, mate? Hello, Callum. When are you doing week 35 of the Championship predictions? That will be this week, at the end of the week, mate. No way, Carl. Bournemouth will finish 12th. Yeah, it should be a good test. Enzo Maresca has spoken today regarding the amount of changes he could make ahead of the game. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to be sure. Let's get my guest in, Morgan Scott from the Back of the Net AFC Bournemouth podcast. Morgan, how are you, my mate?
Yeah, all good. Thank you for having me on.
Morgan, firstly, as I welcome you onto the channel, plug your channel for me, pal. Tell everyone where they can find you and what you do at the AFC Bournemouth podcast.
Yeah, no, it's a really good channel. It's not mine. It's run by Sam and Tom mainly. They do a really good job. You've got there's a lot of content that you'll be having in between now and full time. You have because it's a cup game, it might be a fan reaction video. Sometimes there's fan cam after the whistle. I'm not too sure, but there should be a reaction out straight after the game about their view. And then you've got a match day vlog the next day, so an insight from the game, all recorded from the build up of the game to right after the final whistle. So that's always a good watch. So for any Foxes fans that might be interested, there's a couple of good videos that will be on the channel within the next 48 hours or so. So keep your eyes plugged and give it a like and subscribe if you're interested. It's a really good channel and there's some great content. Hopefully, will there be some Premier League contact for when you guys join us? There's also a away day experience show. So when we rate your grounds on food and drink and what the parking's like and all that. So when you join us, hopefully next season in the Premiership, you might score on the away day experience show as well. So there's lots of content coming up.
Yeah, fair enough. Talk to me about your love for Bournemouth, Morgan. Where did it start? Who's your all-time favourite Bournemouth player?
So personally, and this is just mine, so I started supporting the Cherries when I was a lad, and I went through League 2 and League 1 and up through Championship and then to the Premiership eventually. But I would say that my favourite player personally, since he's come to Bournemouth, is David Brooks. He's just a phenomenal footballer. I think he's always been very, very good for us. And yeah, I really rate him, and I think from what he's been through as well, at the moment he's at Southampton getting some loan time, but he's technically one of the best footballers Bournemouth have ever seen. He's missed a lot of football, not quite getting the minutes this season. Unfortunately, he had a very good performance against Swansea before he said goodbye on loan, and he looked back to one of his best. It's very hard as a player when you've been through what David's been through with his cancer and for another long-term injury. and then obviously having to sit on the bench and get, what the Premiership like. It's hard to get up to speed straight on. But we wish David Brooks got his other goal, and he's got a few assists for Southampton, and hopefully through the playoffs or whatever, he'll get some more valuable experience and a bit more grit and determination, because he'll want to help them do well and get the minute, and then we'll see where he comes. They haven't got an option to loan, so we'll see what happens when he comes back. He might move on, and if he does, then I'll be upset. But I wish him all the best. He needs to play football. He's a young lad. Football careers aren't that massive in terms of it. You haven't got long, and he's missed a lot of football. So we wish David well for the rest of the season. But that's kind of my favourite player of AFC Bournemouth.
So then it's FA Cup action, 5th round. A win will get you to the quarterfinals for both teams. Whoever wants to get through, that is tomorrow night. Give me your initial thoughts on Leicester before we get to know Bournemouth ahead of this one. I mean, what's been your initial thoughts on the league leaders of the Championship?
So my initial thoughts on Bournemouth in terms of, I think that Bournemouth are a lot better this season in terms of from what we had last season and this is no disrespect, we liked what Gary O'Neill's done. He kept us in the division. He's doing great things at Wolves. It's been perfect for him, and it's been perfect for Bournemouth. Bournemouth have improved in the fact that we got this sexy football under Andoni Iraola, which is much more exciting. I don't know if you caught any of the game against City, but we were so great. We lost, but we don't feel like we lost. We lost 1-0. I'm happy to take that. It feels like a massive win, considering that we got defeated up so badly on a numerous occasion. I think that's the first time in 21 games or something that we haven't. Well, we have lost again, but it's like a record. But it's amazing in the fact that we actually had a game. And John Stones, I think I might have needed VAR when I watched it. He said Bournemouth worked us hard till the end, and I thought, do we need VAR to replay that just to make sure he said that against Tim Port, little old Bournemouth? So that's where I think Bournemouth are. And this gaffer, can I reiterate to any fans that might not know, he will take this seriously. He did in Spain, and he takes cup competitions very seriously. So that's that. In terms of the Foxes, I think you alluded to the fact that you wanted me to give you a little bit of insight into what I think of the Foxes from what I've seen. Is that right?
Yes. Go on.
I watched you guys play Leeds the other night, and I thought within the first 15 minutes when West Fate, I think I got that right, put you in the first 15 minutes, put you a goal up. I thought, this is going to be a good night for you guys. And then obviously Leeds United within 10 minutes and a bit of additional time scraped you, and I'm sure it came back it came back to bite you a bit. But you guys don't need to worry. You're first in the division. I think you're a very strong side. You're a Premier League side. One of our lads on our second look from the Man City game said that you guys are a Premiership side, so we have to take it seriously tomorrow. And that's you guys don't need to worry. You guys are in we're 90 minutes away from a cup semi-final, whoever wins tomorrow, and potentially you guys, and you're also first in your division, as I said, and you've got 6 points to play with. So for both, Bournemouth need to watch out. I've been really impressed with what with Leicester, and Jeffrey Hall is an incredible talent. You've done really well to keep hold of him, and even people like Daka can cause all sorts of issues. So you've got a good team, and I think that we shouldn't estimate anything that you're doing tomorrow, because although your gaffer's playing it down, we might make 9 or 10 changes.
Yeah,
I can't see it. I can see you taking it very seriously. You guys have got QPR at the weekend. With all due respect, they're 21st in the league. I think you guys would beat them comfortably, and I think you guys can put a strong 11 out tomorrow. And the fact that Bournemouth have only played 48 hours ago, and we've got quite a lot out on loan, we're a little bit stretched. And a lot of our players will be leggy from playing City, as you can imagine. So you're going to have to... but that kind of answers that for you. I hope that hasn't gone on too long.
That's perfectly fine, my end. Let's get to know the opposition there, Bournemouth. I mean, how have you found things that has been a AFC Bournemouth fan this season? 14th in the league. how has things changed from Gary O'Neill to Adoni? And then Dominic Solanke is obviously your top goal scorer in this season in the Premier League for Bournemouth. What's been your thoughts on Bournemouth's season so far in the Prem?
Oh, wow, it's a very, very good question. Firstly, as I alluded to earlier in the show, Andoni Iraola, what a guy. He's come to England. Bournemouth have never appointed a manager from abroad before. So that's the first thing. So he's had a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
9 games in, fans were calling, I think a lot of people were thinking, is this going to work out? And under Bill Foley, I think he would make the change if he deemed necessary. I was very shocked when Gary O'Neill got taken away. I was actually on holiday overseas, and when I saw it pin through, I thought, this is odd. He's kept us in the division, considering that he took over after we haven't got a good enough squad according to Parker when we departed with him and we lost 9-0 at Anfield, to him keeping us up. I was concerned, but no. This is why I'm not the manager. This is why I don't make any decisions with AFC Bournemouth, because they knew what they were doing. He wanted to come in the summer. He's had a pre-season. It's taken time to gel. Even the players have come out and said that, but it's working. You can see. Going away to Old Trafford, we were sensational. VAR aside, almost getting something at Newcastle. Going away to West Ham and Fulham. Yes, unfortunately, they weren't so great results. But you can see, even at the weekend against Man City, we're so much more better to watch. Alex Scott in the 95th and a half minute of extra time, sliding in to win the ball back, kick it out for a throw. I love that, and it just seems like, it sounds really cheesy maybe to some people, but anything together is possible. If you've got a tight bond, it was always going to take time for Messiah of Eddie Howe left. And we tried so many different ideas. Players come and go, as you know, in football. And in terms of Dominic Solanke, to answer that, Dominic Solanke is just sensational. I, a few years ago, thought he was horrendous, if I'm honest, and I'm the first one to admit that. I was so annoyed and frustrated, but what an inspiration. It's not just his goal scoring. He presses, he works his socks off. And he has just got even better. He tried a bicycle kick at City the other day, and I thought, wow, on the season you're having, mate, I don't mind if that hits the back of the net. It might not be spoke about like Tevez's or Rooney's or whatever, but yeah, no, it's amazing. Another shout out and add it's Ryan Cristiano in the midfield. Or he runs around. I think he's sponsored by Red Bull. The amount that he will press from 1 minute to 98, 90. I reckon he could play 3 football matches in a day sometime. He's just sensational as well. So that kind of answer about Andoni, Dominic Solanke, but I needed to add in for Ryan Christie because he's had a lot of criticism, but he's a very, very good centre midfielder. Oh, and the last thing, just to add to that, is Andoni Iraola. He's an in-game manager. We were 2-0 down at QPR in the FA Cup, in this competition, or we won't be playing you tomorrow. And we had a really bad half. And if that was Gary O'Neill, with all due respect, he would have left it too late. He was positive. He brought on substitutions at half-time and he put Lewis Cook at centre-back. So his in-game management is very, very good. And he did that the other day. He could see that we needed to get ball up to try and win that. So that kind of, but yeah, no, Andoni, we can't speak highly enough. He's getting us in the right. I will calm down on maybe getting my passport renewed and head into European football. But apart from that, I think him and Solanke and Christie are doing everything right at AFC Bournemouth so far.
Yeah, fully agree. Next game, then you take on Leicester in the FA Cup. We'll do team selection in that later on. What's your initial thoughts ahead of this game? How does Bournemouth prepare for this game against the Fox ahead of this 5th round tie?
Sorry, I lost you a bit in audio there. Just to answer that, I think, could you just repeat that slightly? I've lost a bit of audio from your side.
Is that better, my end?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. I'll refer the question. Bournemouth versus Leicester in the 5th round of the FA Cup tomorrow. What is your thoughts ahead of the game itself. How did Bournemouth prepare for this one? I mean, and how do Bournemouth set up? I mean, we'll get on to team selection and that later, but how do Bournemouth play in that? I mean, what can the Foxes expect from the Cherries?
So how Bournemouth prepare is they're a possession-based team, but under Andoni Iraola, we like to attack the football. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I'm all good. Thanks for the comment. I think that Bournemouth, it's about the sexy rock and roll football. It's about attacking team. We press. We don't sit back, and we're not one of these teams where we'll go for it. You know, the other day we brought on Fabry, Solanke, Dango Otara, our new striker that I can't pronounce his name, which isn't very good, but there we go. Even the professional can't get it right all the time. But no, we had 5 attacking players on the pitch, and under Gary O'Neill, we would have brought on Chris Mepham. With all due respect, he's a decent centre half, but not a starting one. And we'll attack the game. We'll bring the energy. We'll want to go out and win it. He doesn't care if he loses the game 2-0. He'll want to go and get a point because this is what Gaffer's about. I think we can hurt you definitely on the counter attack. I'm sure Leicester have got areas that we'll probably touch on a bit later in the show. But I think Bournemouth are capable of hurting anyone on the day. You know, we Man City are one of the best teams in Europe. Well, if not the best team, in my opinion. And we gave them a very, very good game the other day. If it hadn't been for a few more clinical chances from AFC Bournemouth and a few, if that game went another 10, 15 minutes, I think we could have maybe nicked a point. I really do. And that's really exciting because sometime last season, I painted a trellis once and it wasn't a very good outcome. It was like watching paint dry. Some of the football, it was so negative. There was no philosophy, no identity. I felt lost. And that was no disrespect to Gary O'Neill, but he had people like Tommy Elpick and Sean Cooper that weren't used to that. They'd been promoted to the 20 from the 23s upwards. And they didn't really. And also, this season, just to echo Andoni a bit more, he hasn't been able to bring his assistant gaffer that he works under, Radicano, with him, because of visa and permit issue. Now he's taken the manager's job over there, so it looks like he's not coming here anymore. So that might be something Bournemouth need to look at. But in terms of, it's just so much better to watch. There were so many times I was biting my nails or thinking, am I sat in a library? Am I bored? Is it time to go to sleep? Because it was just so boring at times. And as I say, Gary O'Neill has done so well with Wolves. I don't want to come on here and start slagging Gary O'Neill off because I like him. I just think he's gone better. Bournemouth have gone better under Andoni, and it's just more exciting for everything. You know, I'm not being disrespectful. I think we can go and beat you 2 or 3-0 tomorrow night. I really do. But that's because we're playing much better football and we create so many more chances. It's not because I think that you guys are a really bad championship side. I don't expect to be 5-0 up against you like we were in Swansea in the last round. So that's kind of that.
Yeah, tough game this one. Bournemouth away, 14th in the Premier League. You've got a side who can score goals all over the park, to be honest. I think it's a good test for Leicester. Obviously, fans have spoken about testing themselves against the Premier League clubs in the Cup. I think this one is going to be one of them for Leicester, to be honest, to show where we're at as a team. Bournemouth is not our favourable place, though, Morgan, to be honest. We don't really do well at AFC Bournemouth's ground, to be honest. It's kind of like a bogey ground for us. I think the last time we won was 2014 when Kevin Phillips scored. I don't know if you remember much about that game, a 1-0 Leicester win. We've not really had the rub of the green, shall I call it, the vitality in numerous of seasons. But I think this one, to be honest, will be a good test.
I was just going to say there, Jack, don't worry, I won't chuck a snowball at you as you try to enter if you're coming down, like some of your fans did to me on my visit to the Kim Power. I thought that was great banter. You know, there's always a little bit of banter between football fans, and I think sometimes it goes a bit silly, but it was so funny. I was on a coach, my first visit to the Kim Power, and I got a snowball chucked on the way out. It was excellent. It was the game that Mara scored in the 90th minute.
That was it, the free kick.
All of you remember. Yeah, I think it was, yeah. And I was left, obviously, 3.5 hours home, and you're thinking, I'm sat there and I'm, trying to watch a game of football or whatever, and then I've got a bloody snowball chucked at me, and I'm thinking, oh, it's a bit annoying when you lost, but then you think, oh, it's only, well, not lost, but concede late on, and then you just think, oh, it's just banter. It's a great memory, and I look back on it and I laugh about it now. So don't worry, I don't think it's cold enough for any snow, so I think we're all safe on the snowball front down here.
Yeah, it'll just be a freezing cold Tuesday night. AFC Bournemouth versus Leicester City head-to-head, then 14th in the Premier League versus 1st in the Championship. The first meeting in the FA Cup, Morgan, what's your thoughts on that? These two sides have never met in the FA Cup before. I mean, looking at the stats itself, I believe both sides have beat each other 8 times and drawn 5 ahead of this game. What's your initial thoughts on the stats in the first time meeting in the FA Cup, mate?
Well, that's knowledge. I didn't know that we haven't met in the FA Cup, so that's exciting, ain't it? You guys can enjoy a bit of VAR. I'm sure you're really excited for that. I'm sure, hopefully, there's no decisions that take 5 minutes plus or penalties or anything ridiculous. So that's always nice to start. In terms of, I think it. You actually alluded to, you guys haven't got a good record at Dean Court.
No.
So that could help us. I don't know what our record's like at the Kim Power if this was a reverse fixture. So it'll be interesting. But on the day, all it comes down to in football is who wants it more, who's up for it. You look at the factors that I mentioned. Bournemouth could think, oh, we're playing Leicester. They're top of the Championship. Your gaffer's said they're going to make a load of changes. I don't believe any of it. I think your gaffer's doing what we call an Eddie Howe or an Andoni Areola and being very careful and saying, Lloyd Kelly are one of our best left backs or centre half. He can play last week. Trained all week. And then he was out with a hip injury. So managers will keep things close to their chest. Your gaffers might be trying to play it all down and think, oh, we're going to make all these changes. I bet both teams will, because they're a priority. You guys need to go up. We need to beat Burnley on Saturday at Turf Moor. That's not an easy game. Hopefully. So there's lots of factors to play into it. But as I think it will come down to the team on the day who wants it more. Does it go straight to extra time or penalties? I don't think that's a replay anymore, is there?
No, I
don't know if anyone on the comments.
There's not a replay. No, I don't think.
So it will be decided on the night. So it comes down who's the fitter out of the two. If it goes to the length, I don't know if it goes straight to penalties. I think it might do. I'm not sure. Maybe someone in the comments could help us out. But if it someone's
put a stat in. Last season when you did beat us, I believe that's when Billings scored, wasn't it, that goal? AFC Bournemouth's first win in 34 years at Leicester last season. So you weren't beaten for 34 years prior to that game last season at home at the KP.
Wow. So, yeah, no, that's an incredible. So, we got to be, as to say, it's got to be, both teams are going to compete. Whoever plays the best football and wants it more on the day gets through. And then they're 90 minutes away from Wembley, depending on the draw. Then it's all to play for, isn't it? And remember, there's a lot of money at stake for both teams here. Every round you go through in the FA Cup, it's important. So no, really, really looking forward to the game. Someone in the chat, Callum, thank you very much. I will remember it's a 7:30 kickoff. Trying to catch me out with all the weird kickoff times. It's 7:30.
Extra time then pens.
Thank you for that, Gary. No, I appreciate that. I didn't know that off the top of my head. If any fans aren't making the trip down from Leicester or Bournemouth fans that are watching this, it is on, if you haven't got a ticket, it is on BBC iPlayer. So if anyone does want to catch the match, 7:30 on BBC iPlayer, just to add that in as well.
Let's have a look at the last 5 results then at the Vitality. Some lads call it Dean Court, don't they? Yeah.
It is Dean Court. We call it. It's Vitality with the sponsors to all the rich people, and Dean Court to the fans. So we'll. But no, you are right. Vitality, Dean Court, whatever you want to call it, really. But we call it Dean Court.
So in all competition, then, I mean, yeah, like I say, we've not got the best of things at the Dean Court, best of records. I mean, we picked up 1 draw in the last 5. You beat us on the last 4 occasions, 4 out of 5 occasions, shall I put to that one. Interesting that is, isn't it, going into this one, that you do have a good record against Leicester, but I'm sure is Bournemouth with the manager, they're not really going to look at stats, are they? You know, they can't really overlook Leicester, can they, to be honest, despite the results and stats?
No, 100% agree with you. I don't think we can overlook anything. You can't we are Bournemouth. We are known to get things wrong. And when we're expected to win, we end up losing or having a bad result. A couple of people in the comments have mentioned further up as well, but I'm not very good at multitasking, so I can't type and co-present with you. So I haven't answered, but I'm not being rude. I will go back and answer some of them. But Eddie typed in, I don't know if you can pin it on screen. Morgan, where do you think Bournemouth will finish the season? I don't know if you can see that. But it was I reckon about 11th or 12th. I really do. At one point when we were having a great run in December, I thought, do I need to renew my passport? But it's okay to 2028 anyway, so that's all good and well. But I think Bournemouth will finish 10th, 12th or 11th, and that's a great season for Bournemouth. We have finished higher than that before, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. I might have got that wrong now, but I think that it will be a very, just to get out of, we're not, for the first time in February, we're not going down, because there are worse teams in the division. And that's not to sound naive. I know Everton have had their points production cut from 10 to 6 today, and I know that, but teams like Burnley and Sheffield United are a lot worse than Bournemouth, and that's not to sound disrespectful. It's just the facts. And all teams, when you first come up from the Championship, find it hard. I'm sure you guys know how that feels. You have people come and go and stuff. So, 100%. And I don't see Bournemouth being in any danger. Even if they finish above 10th or 11th, if we have a really good run, I can't see it happening getting much better than that. But if it does, it's exciting and I'm happy with it. You want to finish every place higher. You get more money and it's good for the club and it's good for records and statistics.
It is. Let's get into footy both camps. Ooh. I mean, this has been interesting. I think Steve Claridge is a bit before your time, but Steve Claridge, successful at Leicester, goes down as one of our legends, to be honest. Steve Claridge scored some important goals for the club. Ryan Bertrand, played for both clubs. Didn't really happen at Leicester for him, to be honest, at the back end of his career. He was injured quite big parts of his career, Ryan Bertrand. Max Gradle, another one for us, known for that famous goal at MK Dons away in League One. Fantastic strike in the 90-plus minutes. And Jan Kermorgant, we're not really going to get onto, to be honest. The guy's not very well favoured at Leicester at all, to be honest, when it comes to Leicester fans. A guy who's not really worth talking about, to be honest, with his playoff penalty miss and all that. So it's something that we don't really like talking about. Jan Kermorgant, one of the worst players to play for our football club, to be honest, up front. And we're not going to get too much into him.
It's a bit like the blue card, ain't it? That no one wants to talk about either, or VAR or any of that nonsense as well. It's all the same. So maybe we'll.
Do you remember any of the 4 at Bournemouth, Morgan?
Yeah, Jan Kermorgant, absolutely, and Max Gradle, especially them two. And I don't know that other Leicester chap, but I also know who Bertram is. He played for Southampton up the road. That they don't think we're a derby to them for some reason, so we'll keep that one quiet. But Ryan Bertram, they're only 25 minutes up the road, and they prefer Portsmouth. So I don't know what that's all about. So talking about ex-Southampton players isn't one of my favourite things to do, but considering that we got 2 of David Britz and Joe Rockwell there at the moment, I have a bit more. I'll like a training photo or 2, but that's as far as it goes. Or retweet maybe a picture 2, but that's about as far as it goes. I can't stand them.
Yeah, fair enough. We do on the channel have a Southampton fan who comes on. I don't know if you've ever heard of Football Martin, either on
I
TikTok
apologise
or
to him in advance.
yeah. But no, let's get on to team selection. I mean, what sort of
Yeah.
11s can we see Bournemouth bring out then against the Foxes?
Oh, off the top of my head, that's very, very interesting. I got to think. So I reckon we'll make a change in goal, and I'm
Yeah,
very pleased about it because Neto is brilliant. He's a brilliant shot stopper. He's played for some of the biggest teams, but my God, he's so shaky. He is so shaky. I've got a tremor in both of my hands, and the amount how shaky this guy is, I reckon I could catch a ball better and command my box better than this guy. So we'll bring Travers in for him. The back four. I reckon you might see a bit of rotation, but I reckon we'll go quite strong because we're so it'd be Adam Smith at right back,
yeah,
because we got Max Aarons and someone called Ryan Fredericks. Have you heard of him? But we don't.
yeah,
Former fans don't know who he is because he's always injured. So we'll play Smithy. I reckon we'll go. I reckon we'll go strong. I reckon we'll go Sabani and Senesi. Because they're mustered together, and I think Senesi, although there's a case for Chris Mepham, I think that he'll go with them too because Senesi's only one away from a booking. So if he gets
okay,
booked, then he misses a night football. So I think he will take the risk with him. I reckon I'm going to make a change at left back. Although
go on.
Kirk against City was mustard, I'm going to bring in our only other option that is, and he's not a left back, he's a winner. But I'm going to put Dango Altaro at left back because that's what not Gary O'Neill, sorry, Andoni Iraola has done. He was mustard
Yeah,
before he went to AFCON. So I'm going to put him there. In the midfield, it's interesting. I'm going to go for Alex Scott and Ryan Christie.
yeah,
I think he'll rest Lewis Cook. On the right, I'm going to go with Anton Semenyo.
mm-hmm,
On the left, I'm going to go with Luis Sinisterra because Tavernier's been off par. So I think he
yeah,
deserves to come on from the bench. I'm going to go with Clivert in the number 10 role. And then I'm going to go through the main man who's got 14 goals this season, Dominic Solanke through the middle. So I think, if I got that right, so it's Travers, Adam Smith, Zivian Zabani, Marcus Senesi, Dango Artuara at left back, Ryan Christie and Alex Scott in midfield. And no, I'm not playing because I know my name's Scott as well. On the left wing, in the 10 row, I'm going to go Justin Clivert. On the left, Luis Sinisterra, Solanke through the middle, and Anton Semenyo on the right. I think that's 11.
Fair enough. Enzo did talk about changes in the game, 9 to 11 changes. I think he's kind of like he'll want his players just to go out and put a performance in, I think, and then see if they can try and win the game as best as possible. I think in some managers' minds, when you're in the top of the championship, your league's like the priority in it, you know what I mean, and going to win the league. And obviously, Bournemouth would feel the same with obviously when they've been promoted in the past with Eddie Howe and that when it comes to cup competitions.
Eddie didn't take them seriously enough. He couldn't. His goal under Eddie, just to add in there, he had to keep Bournemouth in the division. It was very important just to keep Bournemouth up every season. And since we have been able to invest with Bill Foley and new ideas and Andoni, and now we've been in the division for 6 or 7 years or so, we got more time. We can invest more time into. You got to try and. You don't want to just stay in the league every year. That's boring. You want to try and go for a cup or Europe or whatever it might be. The Prawn Sandwich Brigade. So you got to try and do something. So that's why we're going for it now more than we did under Eddie. But Eddie didn't do much wrong. He just had to prioritise certain things, and that was the Premiership.
Yeah, I think with Eddie Howe, what I was referring to with the whole league situation was the championship when you lot were in the championship. When I think that's what I was alluding to. But I think you can understand the whole philosophy around obviously you lot with when you did come into the Premier League the first time and that first couple of seasons, it was about getting them points to stay up and that. You weren't too bothered about the cup. You was more concerned about the league, which is I guess is a real fair point. Let's get on to the Leicester 11. So we're going to make a change in goal. Stolasic is going to come in for Hermanson. I think Vestergaard will play with Nelson, Cody, and Callum Doyle. I think that'll be the back four. We'll see. Midfield, I'm going to go with Yunus, and I'm going to go with Ricardo, Pratt, and Fatawu is the other four to play. And I'm going to go for Tom Cannon, and I tell you what, I'm going to go for Hamza Chowdhury.
Yeah,
that's my 11. Last one I'm going to put to you then, Morgan, is the score prediction. I mean, how do you see this game going regarding the score? Can Bournemouth keep a clean sheet? I mean, where do you think it will go, mate?
It's interesting. As I said throughout the show this evening, you know, anything can happen in the game of football. It depends who's won it. You've got all the factors, but it comes down to the nitty gritty. I think Bournemouth might just have enough. I really do, and that's because I don't know how. I've seen you guys play a full season, but I can see you guys went a goal up the other day, and you conceded 3 more. Whereas Bournemouth, yes, we concede goals, but we don't tend to concede too many. So I think that Bournemouth will nick it 2-1. I think Leicester will score. But I think, and even if it goes to extra time and we nick it 2-1 in extra time, I don't think that's a bad result for you guys. But I do see Bournemouth, hopefully, for both teams, it needs to be done in 90. But if it has to go on latter to, you know, it's a prize and it's a pride at the end of the day to be 90 minutes away from Wembley. You have to compete into the, you know. So I think it's going to go 2-1 to Bournemouth.
I tell you what, I'm gonna go for a sneaky 1-0 Leicester.
VAR.
I'm gonna be optimistic and go well 1-0 win. At the end, is VAR?
You'll get a penalty. VAR.
Is VAR
so
played?
VAR will be in the game because it's a Premiership tie. No, because it's a Premiership club, which I don't like VAR at all. It confuses me.
No, I missed it whatsoever. Being in the Championship.
I'm sure. I don't get why VAR is allowed in the competition in some ties, because you can have the same incident in 2 different games, but at the Premiership ground, it's okay. I'm sure I have. Thanks for that. But I think that it will. There is VAR, yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Morgan, thanks for coming on, pal. Do appreciate it. Guys, go and follow the Back of the Net. It's an AFC Bournemouth podcast. Morgan, plug it for us, pal. Let everyone know where they can find you on the socials and that.
That's fine. Thank you so much for having me, Jack. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for the questions in the comments. Thanks for everyone watching. I really appreciated it. The interaction's been really nice. I've seen really loads of positive comments. Sorry, I can't multitask and answer some of them, but I hope I have within the episode. Yeah, it's at AFCB podcast, mainly on YouTube. There is a podcast app. We just recently got 10,000 on TikTok, so go and follow the TikTok again at AFCB podcast. So there will be a preview show out at some point this evening for a Bournemouth, Sam and Tom previewing the game. So that if anyone wants to watch that, that'd be appreciated. There will be a match day vlog on Wednesday morning at some point, or Wednesday at some point. So check that out. It's in depth from the game and everything like that. And yeah, and there's lots of good content. And when you come up next season, I'm sure there'll be lots of content involving away day shows if we go to Leicester and all sorts of things like that. So it's at AFCB podcast on YouTube, social media, and on TikTok as well.
Morgan, thanks for coming on, pal.
Cheers,
all the best. All the best in the Premier League, mate.
And you, thank you. Thank you so much.
It was Morgan Scott from the Back of the Net Bournemouth podcast. Go and drop them a follow. Guys, if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed to the Final Whistle, please do so. It helps out massively. Really hope you've enjoyed the match preview. What's coming up on the Final Whistle next? We've got the match day vlog, which will be out Wednesday morning. I will be at the Vitality tomorrow, so come and give us your score predictions and that for the game. Come and say hello, as always. We've got the Championship predictions, which will be on Thursday. And we have got the match preview for Queen's Park Rangers on Friday night. So, yeah, a lot of stuff to do on the Final Whistle. Thank you to everybody who has followed the Final Whistle. Thank you, firstly, to everybody who gets involved week in, week out, watches our content. We've just hit 3,000 subscribers. So, yeah, that's all thanks to you guys, of course. We really do appreciate everyone coming in and watching our content and that. Really hope you've enjoyed it. And, yeah, one other thing. Happy retirement to Shinji Okazaki, who will be retiring from football at the end of the season. So, yeah, big up to Shinji and all the best to our 15-16 Premier League title winner. Absolute legend. Loved him when he was at Leicester. And, see you tomorrow, mate. Yeah, kick off 7:30 tomorrow night. Should be an interesting one. Thanks for watching. Take care. And I'll see you again in the next one. Keep it here at the Final Whistle. Hi all, thank you for watching the Final Whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel.